Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here at the beautiful retreat at Solterra. It is an honor to be here, and I'm just so excited that we could bring everyone together for our 20th anniversary. I'm here. My name is Maria Destor, and I'm the executive director of the Scleroderma Foundation's Rocky Mountain chapter. And I could not do what I do without all these amazing people in this room. But here is our board. This is our board president, Mike Purcell. And we have Marcy Thompson, Tammy Shell, and Cindy Bestlever. I don't have to say much about her. Everyone knows who Cindy is. And Dolores Pfeiffer Shearer. Kimmy Kondo and Christine Shepard. And then down on the end over there, we had a sneak appearance from Sandy. We'll hear more about Sandy later, but she has been fighting a big battle, and we're just so happy that she could be here today with us.
Well, welcome everybody on behalf of the board and the staff. Thank you for showing up tonight and celebrating the 20-year anniversary. Before I get started, I want to give a huge shout out to the 20th anniversary planning committee. So those people who are here, can you please raise your hands? Huge amount of welcome. And especially for this lady right here, and Christine, without those two shepherding through this whole thing, we never would have gotten where we are right now. So thank you so much. We have a special guest with us tonight from National Scleroderma Foundation. She is the Director of Corporate Giving and Development. And could you please make a Colorado welcome for her first time here, Jess Grayas. And Colorado is much like it is right now. So you're welcome back anytime. Most of the people are nice in Colorado. But anyway, welcome. And we look forward to working with you this next year, coming year. I am pleased to introduce our MC, Betsy Craig, who was first diagnosed in 2005 and a stem cell transplant in 2018. And she will serve as our MC tonight and get things rolling off. So could you please give another big Colorado welcome to Betsy Craig.
Do you guys think we should make the board stand up here while we do all this? Not only are we going to take your service and steal time from your lives, we're going to make you stand on display. I told my husband to get the tissues because I'm a big old mush bucket. And I'm sitting here watching pictures of heroes that have walked the path in front of people like me, who without them walking it, I couldn't be here. And I thank you for that. So I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of my history, 3-4 minutes. Wish me luck. I set a clock. We're going to see if I can talk for 3-4 minutes and tell you my miracle story in 3 or 4 minutes. In 2003, I moved here to Colorado to marry the man of my dreams. He's still the man of my dreams, and he tolerates me. Thank you, God. And that's my husband, Rocky. Where would we be without our caregivers? I'd be dead. I don't know about anybody else in this room, but I'm gone without this man. And by 2004, my hands didn't move. Doctors told me I had carpal tunnel, cancer, everything else. Nobody could figure out what I had. And it took 18 months to diagnose me. They diagnosed me by telling me I had 12 to 18 months to live, which is total BS. How many in the room have been told you're dying? All right. Gotcha. That's almost all of us who have scleroderma in the room, right? And by the way, I'm a good puppy. I have 3 Moderna shots on board, and I won't approach more than 6 feet so that I can talk without my mask. And all of us will respect Sandy with extra space, including me. So 2005, I found a doctor who said, what you have is scleroderma, and he started the chemical hop. You know, we're going to give you 21 different meds in a day and hope they work. And it was 21 different meds. I think it was a total of 50 some odd pills I got to swallow in a day. Even the worst days being a drug addict, I never took that much. I was like, holy cow. Thank God I can swallow pills. All right, overshare, I know. Okay. So I was slowly dying up in Fort Collins, and a doctor finally looked at me and he said, I don't know what else to do with you. You need to go to Denver. And I had not gotten connected yet with the Scleroderma Foundation. He gave me a pamphlet. I found you guys. You guys gave me my life. You guys said, go see Dr. Collier at the time. And Dr. Collier looked at me and he said, honey, the only thing we can do is hit you with a bus. And I said, then you better get the bus. Because I got a kid I want to watch graduate high school. I've watched her graduate high school, college, master's program, and today she's flying to Greece. So that's that child. You know, I don't know if I take after her or she takes after me, but that's what I got going. So Dr. Collier started giving me methotrexate in like horse level doses. I lost most of my hair. I was sicker than a dog. I took it on Fridays. I could start to function by Tuesday. You guys know. I know you know. And by 2009, we started hiking. I was doing better. My lungs were better. You see, it hadn't attacked my inside yet. 2010, we started a business. I guess I was bored. 2011, ILD took weight of my chest, and I started to not be able to breathe. By 2017, I couldn't walk up more than 4 stairs without oxygen. The foundation I have always brought it back to the Scleroderma Foundation, always brought it back to Rocky Mountain chapter. I've gone to the education sessions. I've tormented the poor doctors that have the generosity to share their knowledge with me. And then I just follow them like a puppy until they give me the answer I want or tell me to go way to over there. He'll help me. One of those doctors is in the room. I tormented him a little bit. I'm so grateful that those people are driven to share their knowledge with us through advocacy and education. In 2017, I was really, really sick. And I was at the end. And literally, I mean, I don't mean to be dramatic in this room of dramatic people. We have every right to be dramatic. I will tell you that. And I knew I couldn't do anything further. And what happened for me was I went to a walk. A friend of mine lost her right leg from above the knee down. And it's her scleroderma story, but they couldn't save her leg at Hopkins. So they cut it off. And I remember thinking, my friend Eileen lost her leg from scleroderma. I got 2 feet. I'm going to walk. And my husband and I talked about coming to Cherry Creek and doing one more walk. And I put it on Facebook. And in 10 days, I raised $3,500-ish. And I showed up with my oxygen tank and I could do only 1 lap around. And Jill got a hold of me. Who knows Jill in the room? Right on. God bless her. She talked about advocacy and she talked about fighting for scleroderma information. She says, anybody knows anybody in politics, let me know. I went up to her after. I said, I happen to know somebody. I told her who. She said, that's really great. Why are you panting? She said, you have scleroderma? I said, yeah, because my hands had started to heal from the methotrexate. But I said, yeah. She goes, you don't have to pant. Why don't you get stem cell? I said, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. That was June of 2017. By April of 2018, I had stem cell transplant at Northwest with Dr. Richard Burt, who I believe is a direct result of that treatment. I'm still here, you know, still here. I will tell you that it breaks my heart. It's not a cure for everybody, or it's not a put it in remission for everybody. I wish it was. And if you're curious, there's a show coming out from Selma Blair talking about her stem cell with the same situation, the same doc, the same everything, coming out on October 15th. I watched the previews and sobbed for 20 minutes. So it's a hard thing to walk through. But today I mostly function without oxygen, and I get to be here from you to this event. So happy 20th anniversary, Rocky Mountain Scleroderma Foundation. The beginning of 2000 was 2001. Here we are 20 years later. It was really interesting. A couple of people got together that knew folks that had scleroderma, and they met did you meet in somebody's house? I think the first time it was in a school. And they said, okay, let's start a foundation. Let's start a chapter of the Scleroderma Foundation here in Colorado. And it began with a gentleman named Dave Fisher, who said, let's go ahead and we'll just use my house as a place to meet for the time being. I guess this is before we got the Arthritis Foundation building, right? What? Way before, 2001. Okay. And our first event that we held, because we have to raise money, we have to get seed money. Well, the first event was 2002, and it was mini golf. Okay. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to help raise money to seed a foundation like this. Let's go for it. And it was done because somebody who was a member of the JCs had lost a mom to scleroderma. So they said, let's go ahead and do mini golf and raise some money to start this chapter. And they did. And that's where the seed money came from. Gentleman named Scott, his group called the JCs. And that was in 2002. Is there anybody here that was at that? Let me look at, 1, 2. Oh my gosh. Cindy, 3. Holy cow. Jan, that was you. Oh, Jan, Rita, and Cindy were at that event, mini golf back in 2002. And here we stand. Without your help, people like me wouldn't even be standing here. So thank you for my life. 2005, we started the walks. Holy cow. Who's been to a walk? Isn't that amazing? I swear, it's when you can feel hope with what felt like a hopeless disease for me. When I see people scoot up and huddle up and join teams and join efforts, and we wear those crazy beads and we wear the crazy, I don't care, I'll put anything on to draw attention to scleroderma because people don't know it. They don't know the word. But the walks have raised money. They have raised money like big time. The first walk raised $6,000. It was done, was that at Cherry Creek? I think the first one was Cherry Creek. It was really windy. Weren't the tents like flying? Yeah. Who in the room has walked or led a team? I might have just asked that, but now's the time in my notes where I'm supposed to ask that. So sorry. Right on. Anybody in the room carried oxygen for someone while they walked? That's what I thought. I knew he did. That's love, carrying my oxygen. 2011, we did our first Fort Collins walk. I remember that like it was yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And we've done a walk in Fort Collins every year since. This chapter has reached out to Colorado Springs. We've reached out to Grand Junction. John and Cindy, I heard you guys logged 6. I remember this too. You put all this stuff in the car and drove it 600 miles. You and John in the car with all that schmutz from Colorado Springs to Grand Junction. That's love. Love's a verb. That's the action word right there. You know what's really cool? In 2015, I believe, Sandy, didn't you start the food fight? Wasn't that you? You and John? John was your pilot and you were the co-pilot? He was the idea. Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. Food fight. The food fight was another fundraiser. It happens in October, and I just want to have you save the date, October 5th, 2022. We're going to do it again. And let me see. We have some thanking to do. So I've got some names to call out for different awards, acknowledge for different awards. These are not the awards this evening. They're awards in the past, and I want to make sure the people that got them in the past get recognition. I'm saying that before the people are going, what are you doing? No, we're good. So in 2014, John was the chapter volunteer of the year from the Scleroderma National Foundation. Is John here? Not tonight. All right, we'll send up good energy to John. He did so much for this chapter. Oh my gosh. Also in 2014, Dr. Fisher was Doctor of the Year, given to him from the National Foundation out of Massachusetts. In 2016, the support group leader of the year was our own Sandy. And in 2018, we had both Cindy and Judy. Judy won support group leader of the year, and Cindy won philanthropist of the year. Given both those awards given to them. I think we're in Arizona for that conference, given to them by National. So if anybody here has served on the board, would you go ahead and stand up? Past board members? We could get a nice round of thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. And then we've had tons of education days, and we have more. In fact, there was just an education day this past weekend, if I remember correctly. Somebody schlepped. Where'd you guys schlepp it? Virtual. Oh, it was virtual. Was this for Salt Lake? Oh my gosh, you guys, we're stretching into Salt Lake, into Wyoming. Scleroderma really doesn't care your zip code. It doesn't. It wants you to not have the information, I think. Sometimes we have to fight the disease. So good for you for making it to Utah, virtually or otherwise. Let me see. And then we want to talk for a second about, I want to share with you where the scleroderma centers are, because without the scleroderma centers, I don't know if the transfer of knowledge and information would be anywhere near where it is today. And without National giving us, that was pretty, I feel like I should say something monumentous with the bells going on. Is it Saturday? No, okay. But we do have scleroderma centers, and we're lucky here in Colorado to have UC Health, National Jewish, and University of Utah, all pretty close. So we've got Utah and Colorado. And in Colorado, although it's not a center, it absolutely treats children with scleroderma. So Children's Hospital of Colorado. So thank you for all of that, for everybody with anything to do with one of those centers. Okay, so there are definitely awards we're giving out tonight. And is she here? Okay, so I'm going to assume you're on virtually, lady. That's what I'm going to assume. And I'm screaming out and shouting out to Judy. Judy, who's been with us up in Fort Collins for 10 years. You have been amazing. Judy, you have such a big heart. Judy has provided programs and arranged meetings locations. So this is what Judy did. She found a place for the scleroderma chapter to meet up there when there wasn't a place. It's almost like going back to the house. God bless you, Judy. 10 years of service. Judy would find out there was a new person with scleroderma reaching out to the foundation and literally would go meet with them. She would call them right away. She'd go meet with them. I know personally she'd ask me to call people who had a story more along my lines where I could relate to them. And I knew if Judy called, I had to call whoever it was right away, like that day, or else I had Judy. I didn't want to answer to Judy or let Judy down. And in 10 years, she's done a phenomenal job. So after 10 years of service, she's decided to hang up her meeting agenda organization. I hope she'll still attend and all the rest. But I wanted to read a little quote, if I can make my paper fold the right way, a quote that somebody gave about Judy, because this is a really nice testament to her love and her big heart that she has. It says, I met Judy at the Moot House restaurant for a Christmas celebration. I just found out that I had scleroderma and I didn't know anybody. I was nervous. I was scared of what to expect. Judy greeted me, sat next to me, and she made me feel welcome. The same thing happened at my first group meeting. Judy introduced me to people, explained things to me, and of course encouraged me to get a treat during the break. It was at the race walk that Judy really helped me. Once again, she walked around with me and showed me how things were set up. She encouraged me to try the group aerobics. Judy is always with the is always there with warmth and compassion for all of us, even as she goes through her own scleroderma struggles. I sure do love you, Judy, and that's from Patty Allen. She's touched hearts, a lot of hearts. So a round for Judy. Thank you. I hand off.
Our next awardee is John Nemi, and John couldn't make it tonight. He sends his love to everyone. No one can exactly remember when John showed up the first time, but we know that he's been around ever since. It has been at least 10 years, probably more. 6 of those he served on our chapter board, and 2 of those as chapter board president. Every organization needs a volunteer like John. He's the type of guy who will drive 600 miles over a weekend with his best friend, Cindy. He will fill water jugs. He will, she's done so much stuff. At Food Fight, he's the one that gets about 85% of our auction items because no one can say no to John. One of our board members shared a story about John. She said he walked into the bank one day and he said, hey, I'm having a fundraiser. I need some bling for my goodie bags. Do you got anything? And of course, she was happy to comply. And she thought that would be the end of it. Well, John showed up the next week and said, hey, do you want to come to our board meeting and meet my friends? And Marcy came. And Marcy has now been on our board for 5+ years. Thank you, Marcy. See, John will ask for something, and then I'll come back and ask again and ask again. John has a humongous network everyone in Denver knows John, and he is still active in networking groups today. And he never misses a chance to tell someone about scleroderma. He carries around our advocacy letters and has hundreds of people sign them, and we'll just bring them and send them to Cindy or send them to National to help our advocacy efforts. John said, I enjoy leading by example, sharing skills and learning new skills, and just helping volunteers feel welcome. John, thank you so much for your many years of service, and I look forward to our next mailer, and I'll see you and all your buddies that you bring along to help out. Thank you, John. And Cindy's making her way up here. And June, you want to come up?
Those guys could memorize their speeches. I'm old. I can't do that anymore. So our good buddy, June. On most Saturdays, when our Denver support group meeting meets the second Saturday of every month, we see June and her husband, Roger's smiling faces. And they mean so much to everybody that comes to the meetings. June was first diagnosed with scleroderma in 2005. At that time, it had been a difficult time for her. She had just lost her sister and a son-in-law to cancer. So shortly after that is when her hands started to turn blue and she started losing function in her hands. It soon spread to her torso and the rest of her body. She was also at risk for developing lung involvement and what else? You have a lot of early involvement. So fortunately at that time, at that time, there wasn't much around or much known about the Scleroderma Foundation, internet just coming up about that time. But one of her daughters did some research and got June to Dr. Maureen Mays at the University of Houston. Well, Dr. Maureen Mays told June that she had a very, very progressive case. So she put her on a very aggressive treatment program. And June decided that she was also going to commit to a very aggressive exercise program as well, because being a retired nurse, she knew how important that was. So June first started, a physical therapist told her that she couldn't help her. So June started doing her own hand exercises. She started taking classes or first started just watching them on TV and doing 5 minutes of an entire class if that's all she could do. She eventually started doing 2 classes a week, training, and 2 days a week doing aerobics, water aerobics. And I remember June telling me one time it took everybody in the locker room when she first started to get her into her bathing suit because she was so stiff and tight. But soon she was able to suit herself because the exercise paid off. What else? Also, and Roger told me this, I don't know if June knows it or not, but he was the one who encouraged her to keep exercising, even when June put up a protest. And to quote Roger, protest was putting it mildly. So that did pay off for June. She is back to about 75% of her functionality today. So yes. Good job, girl. She also realizes that she wouldn't be where she is without the support of her wonderful family. Her daughters and son-in-law have traveled from Texas and Tennessee to be here with her tonight, and many of her friends are here as well. So if you've been to a walk, you know June, and you've heard about June's high steppers. June started, she thinks this year was her 13th walk. So she's been doing them for almost as long as she's been diagnosed. Year after year, June's team brings in the most number of donations, and she's always among the top with the number of walkers. And June doesn't use Facebook fundraisers. She wants to ask people personally to join her because that gives her an opportunity to tell people about what scleroderma is and what she's been through. This year, when the walk was canceled, she had people calling her, asking her if she was going to still do something. So she decided to have a walk in a park by herself. More than 40 people turned out on June 5th this year to support June. And she hit a new fundraising high this year, raising over $5,700 from 50 individuals. Some of the people who walk for June, because there's so many, they don't even know each other. There were two of her friends that were at a beauty salon recently, and one was talking to the hairdresser about her participation at a walk for disease, but she couldn't remember what the disease was. So another of her friends was nearby at a bowl getting her hair washed, and she said, well, was your friend's name June Bryant? And the other one said, yes. She said, then you walked for scleroderma. June's grassroots efforts have paid off. Over 13 years, she has raised more than $35,000 for the Scleroderma Foundation Rocky Mountain chapter. June is extremely thankful for the support network that helps her cope with scleroderma. Her daughters who are here tonight are her cheerleaders. Her son-in-laws and grandchildren are always there to support and encourage her. Mostly, she is thankful for Roger, her husband of over 60 years this August, who has been her backbone. We are extremely thankful for June's spunk, her kindness, her smile that lights up her room at our support meetings. Can't get through this. Her positive attitude, her compassion and empathy for the others with scleroderma and chronic diseases, and for her friendship. We love you, June. I love you.
Oh, beautiful.
Our new board member, Gary Keschel, and his wife, Linda, their son designed these awards for us. Aren't they beautiful? Oh. Congratulations, June.
Thank you. Thank you.
Barb Froden is coming up right now, and she is the 2021 Support Group Leader of the Year for the National Foundation.
You told me I only had 2 minutes. Now listen, these people have had it. I'm sure all of you have heard at some point of the little train that could. Well, I'm here to recognize the scleroderma person who could. She never gives up. And that is Sam. Sandy and I co-lead the Denver support group. It's just been incredible to watch her. She is, if anybody new calls us, Sandy's right there. She just can't wait to talk to them and encourage them, because look what she's been through. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, so Sandy and I have been friends since she was 16 years old. So, and her mom and I were best friends. So anyway, she always participates in all chapter events and supports them, the walk, the food fight. And she just has such a positive attitude. I've often said to her, how can you be so positive? She said, what else am I going to do? You know, you got to be positive, and there's times in our meetings where she wasn't able to be there, especially recently. And she actually couldn't talk at our support group meeting from her hospital bed, but she waved to us. And she wrote things on her board. Michael helped tell us what she was trying to say. Just amazing. How can you keep on keeping on? That just is such an encouragement for everybody. And I'm just so proud that Sandy came to me and said, would you help us? Would you participate in the Scleroderma Foundation? So it's been a really neat experience. And I'm just so grateful to know this incredible lady. She's just been my best friend. Thank you.
These are really hard acts to follow. Hopefully I can get through this. But I'm going to read my notes just like Cindy did, because it's important. Did you know 44% of volunteers are women? 40% are invited by a friend or a family member. to help with a cause that they're really passionate about. A large percentage of people who help with scleroderma have a personal connection to the disease. And volunteering just really helps ease our burdens. I'm such an emotional person. I'm sorry. I apologize. So I wanted to begin with talking about Harriet Ruth. She was diagnosed with scleroderma in the 80s. Her diagnosis was a process that took years. Only after a multitude of symptoms, her skin was tightening. She says it felt like someone was standing on her feet, and the weight of a sheet against her skin was just painful. Harriet's symptoms progressed, adding GI issues, but mostly skin, and she couldn't even walk a flight of stairs without being short of breath. She and her husband, Richard, lived in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they were really active in their community. So they decided to create some awareness for scleroderma and hosted a fundraiser. They called it the Stroll and Roll. What a cute name. Their daughter lived in Colorado, and she actually would travel to Lancaster to help out with the walk, along with her sisters. It was really a family kind of team sport of running that fundraiser. It was so hard for her to be living so far away, and every time she came home to visit her mom, she witnessed the progress. Her symptoms worsened. It was really painful to witness. So she wanted to help, but didn't really know how with the distance. And then she eventually connected herself with a Colorado support group, and that's when her calling came. The National Foundation of the Scleroderma Foundation asked for volunteers to create a Rocky Mountain chapter, and she knew she just had to help. She signed up as a board member, and that was in 2001, and she did every role within the chapter. She led support groups, served as a treasurer, organized fundraisers, and for the past 20 years has been the face of kindness and love that many of us turn to for support and just a good solid hug. This is our beloved Cindy. She has moved mountains in the name of scleroderma, and she has moved us all to be part of this chapter. Today, I'm so happy to have the honor of presenting this award. She's truly a powerhouse, relentlessly strong. She loaded trucks with chairs and tables, picked up coffee and donuts, balanced budgets, contributed her own monies to make sure events went off without a hitch. She has traveled the US, including Washington, DC, to speak and participate and mostly educate others about scleroderma. And she seizes every single opportunity she can to share with others. She lives the life of purpose. When I first met her, I noticed how hard she worked at a job that didn't pay her. I turned to the chapter when I moved to Colorado, and she was one of the first people I met. We became fast friends. And I still remember the Denver Walk of 2016, and I hope you do too. I was on a business trip right before the walk, flew home that day, and had gotten a concussion because I fell and slipped and hit my head on this marble wall within a restaurant in San Francisco. And I was good. I was coming to the walk. Didn't matter. Cindy was loading tables and scratched her head, and like blood's dripping down her face. And I thought, I'm going to go help. So I ran over and cleaned up her face and put a Band-Aid on her head, and, you know, all proud of myself, like I was actually able to do something for Cindy for a change. And later found out that I totally missed the spot. Like the Band-Aid was like down here versus up here. And so we had a really good laugh about it. But really, I think we all have a sweet memory of Cindy in that way, right? we've all had an instance where she has been just really supportive of us to giving and just has a great sense of humor. One of the greatest things about her is her hope and her joyfulness. As we celebrate the chapter's 20th anniversary today, which is to raise $100,000. And it's really to help launch us into our future. And so hopefully you've all contributed and plan on doing more. But in January, I have to make a plug for that because I'm a past board president and it's really important to me. In January, Cindy and her husband, Craig, decided to donate $25,000 towards this Imagine campaign. In her words, she said, "I have been part of this chapter for 20 years. And from an insider's perspective, I've seen how support groups have helped newly diagnosed patients find their way. I have met researchers who have dedicated their careers to better understanding the disease, leading to improved treatments. I have seen the commitment of staff, support group leaders, and volunteers who work hard for this cause every day. For these reasons and more, I am proud to support the Image campaign." Amazing, isn't it? She began her journey with being a scleroderma champion in the 80s and lost her mom, but she gained a family here within this foundation with the patients, the caregivers, the volunteers, the board members, the staff. She really has a family here at Scleroderma. And the list of things she has done is exhaustive, so I have to really read it. And so I'm going to start from a national level. She's on the National Board of Directors. She's been a member at large and a treasurer, a philanthropist of the year for the National Foundation in 2019, a leader of the National Chapter of the Year in 2018, and at the National Patient Conferences, she's participated. She's also served on the Chapter Relations Committee, the Advocacy Committee, the Awareness Committee, Reach for the Cure. She's attended Rare Disease Week at Capitol Hill and virtually. She's a leader in advocacy work, and on behalf of the foundation, in addition to scheduling meetings in Colorado, she's attended meetings in other states on Capitol Hill and mentioned advocates for many, many other states. She has helped create and put on patient education days. And here locally with the chapter, she has been a board member, the board treasurer, our executive director, I think she was the first, an advocacy committee chair. She chaired all our fundraising events and participated in all of them. She's been a liaison between the chapter and the medical advisory board. And let's not forget her first event, the Stroll and Roll in Lancaster, PA. I am so pleased to present this award to our superhero and the woman I love like a sister. Cindy, let me be the first to say thank you.
Wow. I don't know if I can talk now. So you see why we're here, right? I came on in 2019, I think, whatever, 2 years ago. And it's a blur because of the pandemic, right? It has changed everything. And as we rolled towards our 20th anniversary, I said to the chapter board, it's like, we have to do something. We have to mark this. And with the pandemic, we just weren't really sure what we were going to be able to do. And I'm just thrilled beyond words that we could do this, that we could bring you all together and our virtual audience could hear the stories. Because this chapter has been here for 20 years and we will be here for many, 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 many decades more. Cindy will be here until... So the pandemic made us change the way that we did business these last couple of years. We went virtual and we all had to figure out Zoom and all sorts of stuff like that. And a neat thing happened. We started having attendees from all over the place at our support groups. And when our walk got canceled and we started the Rocky Mountain Adventure, we had participants we had a tennis tournament in Crested Butte. How cool is that, right? We weren't sure that our fundraiser would do well. We weren't sure what was going to happen, but our team captains just, we hit close to our record and brought in over $50,000 this year with a virtual fundraiser. Any team captains in this room? Raise your hand. I see Rena's Rebels. I see Carol cycling to cure scleroderma. I know there's more in here. Sorry. Sandy. Dolores. June. Duh. And June. Right. And all of you guys out there that are joining us virtually too. All of you matter. Everyone in here is part of the Scleroderma Rocky Mountain family. What we have done today and where we are today is because of all of you. To mark our 20th anniversary, we're like, whoa, we should do something. What does the Rocky Mountain chapter want to aspire to be? Where do we want to go? Well, we have all these people joining us from the rural areas of the Rocky Mountain region and other states. So let's continue to serve them. How can we do that? So we aspire to raise $100,000 to do just that. We want to keep growing. And this year we have added support groups in Wyoming. Dolores here is our support group leader. We also added some support groups in Salt Lake City and Northern Utah. And we just had 3 wonderful women volunteer to lead support groups in Albuquerque. So we're growing, and we're going to try to serve as many people as we can in the Rocky Mountain region. We had our first patient education day in Salt Lake City. We have plans to do one in Albuquerque in the spring, and Grand Junction and Fort Collins and Colorado Springs, because there's a need everywhere. And all of you who have already donated to this campaign and who will tonight, you're going to help us get there. So thank you. We have 3 main impact goals for this fundraiser. One is to reach out and continue to serve the larger Rocky Mountain region. We also are going to bring on a new staff member to help us with outreach with healthcare professionals, because we have only scratched the surface in identifying scleroderma patients in the region. And our healthcare providers are going to help us identify more and get people diagnosed earlier, because that leads to better outcomes. And the last third of the money raised, we will be donating to research. And Cindy knows about all this up and down. So
thank you. So this year, the Scleroderma Foundation National Board of Directors more than doubled the annual commitment that we make to research. For several years, we have donated $1.1 million every year. This year, that was doubled to $2.7 million. Do the math. That's a little bit more than half or twice. That's because that includes 500 specifically to pediatric research, because yes, kids get this disease too. So that's a huge commitment. We want to keep doing that every single year, but that's going to take money. So we want to keep supporting the national office in their efforts for research. The Scleroderma Foundation, in our 20 years of existence, the Scleroderma Foundation Rocky Mountain chapter has donated to national more than $150,000 specifically for research. So we want to keep that going, and we want to do even more to find a cure. So please help us. Oh, okay. Am I introducing Dr. Bull? Yes, great. Dr. Todd Bull is one of our, he's on our chapter medical advisory board. He is a pulmonologist at the University of Colorado. He has been around, almost as long as I've been around, I think, helping patients. A great doctor. We love him. And he is going to tell you a little bit, about some of the research he's done.
Thank you, Cindy and Marie, for inviting me to this event. And Cindy reached out a couple of days ago and asked me to speak a little bit about research and its importance in scleroderma and in medicine in general. And as background, I'm a pulmonary and critical care physician here at the University of Colorado, and my area of specialty is pulmonary vascular disease or pulmonary hypertension. And so with that, I've had the opportunity to meet a number of patients because, as I think everyone in the room knows, that's one of the conditions that can arise in pulmonary hypertension. And this is my area of research as well. And I was younger one day I was younger and just beginning out my career in pulmonary and critical care medicine, and that's a really informative important time to sort of decide which direction you're going to go from a clinical standpoint, from an investigative standpoint. And I knew I loved taking care of patients, but I also really like to think about ways that we could improve how we were taking care of patients, how medicine is practiced. And was lucky very early on in my career to receive one of the awards from the Scleroderma Foundation. And that was really a formative time for me. That was a time where, if I had not been able to receive that award, I could not have established my lab, and it really helped to do that. It helped set me on a career path that I've really been on all this time to really move forward and try to figure out other ways to both take care of things better that we're doing now, but think to the future, the directions we're going to go and the impacts that we can make. And really, while I was brought up here to talk about research, really what I want to take back to you is really the importance, the essential nature of what you guys are doing here tonight. And what we've heard, stories from remarkably strong individuals and stories about people that were, had these challenges, and challenge is a too soft a word for a lot of times what we've been hearing about, but looked at these challenges and said, okay, what can I do to really sort of first help myself and then help others? And so you've advocated and you've come together in a group like this, and really the power, the strength of something like this is really quite amazing. It can change, career trajectories. It can bring, thought to bear on other ways of taking care of this. And really it's this sort of advocacy and this ability of raising funds and then putting it towards a real problem like the problems that you're facing in scleroderma that will really change how this is managed, how things are done. And we see examples of this, right here today. We're faced with this terrible pandemic, but the reason that we have been able to come together today, and we're taking precautions and still being careful about it, but really the hope for this was the research monies that was put forward to develop the vaccines that are really using a term and not using it too lightly, really sort of miracle vaccines, how effective they are, how quickly they came about, how they really have the power to sort of, to let us move forward and move past this. Another example of this is a different lung disease, I think one that many of you have heard about, and that's cystic fibrosis. A different lung disease that is genetically inherited, impacts generally people very young in their lives frequently, makes it very difficult for them to breathe. And 30 some years ago, the gene for cystic fibrosis was called CFTR. The cystic fibrosis transport receptor was discovered, and research was dedicated to that, pushed forward to it. And it took some time, no question about it. But, about 3 years ago, the ability to modify that gene, that receptor was uncovered, and it just dramatically changed the impact, the health of individuals, many individuals with cystic fibrosis. People that were on the transplant list were able to come off of it. People that had difficulty doing activities were able to essentially breathe again. And it really is one of this beautiful bench to bedside is how we refer to this. So research that then moves to the clinical realm and really changes the paradigm of clinical health. And so that's an example. In my field, pulmonary hypertension or pulmonary vascular disease, about 30 years ago, we discovered one of the genes important in the development of pulmonary hypertension, something called bone morphogenic protein receptor 2. Terrible name for a pulmonary disease, bone morphogenic protein receptor 2. But it is a protein that is very important in the remodeling that happens in the lungs of patients with pulmonary hypertension, which can occur in scleroderma. We've known that there's something abnormal about that gene. There's been known that causes a very abnormal proliferation of cells. We've known that for the gene for 30 years, its pathophysiology for 10 to 15 years, and really just about 5 or 6 months ago, a publication, one of my colleagues at the university, Dr. Badish, was first author on this paper, demonstrating that we can manipulate that gene in a way that we think can pretty dramatically improve the pressures in patients with pulmonary hypertension. And so it works in an entirely different way than any of the meds that we've had before. It really offers the opportunity to come in and really change the movement, the direction of this disease state. And we're hopeful. We're now entering into the phase 3 studies on this to really sort of see that does this impact ways that it really dramatically changed pressures. Can we really impact how patients do in the long run with this? And our great hope. And again, really gets at the power of research in this area and where how we can really change what's happening from a disease state once we focus in on it and have people dedicated to it. And so while this is I'm mentioning research, what I'm really talking about, we heard earlier on in this, is hope. And hope is one of the most important things to take forward. And I think there's great reasons to be very hopeful in this disease state of scleroderma, in the disease states of pulmonary hypertension, in the parts of lung fibrosis. I was just on a number of meetings today talking about different ways of getting at lung fibrosis aspects of it. And so, listen, I guess what I want to do is, I'm constantly amazed and inspired by the patients that I'm able to take care of and have the honor to take care of. This is what kind of motivates me to step back and sort of say, okay, what are we doing? How can we do this, in a better way, an effective way? And it's, people like yourselves coming to events like this, supporting each other, supporting, new diagnoses, supporting those when they're having medical problems, and then really thinking about ways to move our research forward that really will provide the hope for the future. So thank you for what you're doing.
Our mission at the Scleroderma Foundation is to advance medical research, promote disease awareness, and provide support and education to people with scleroderma, their families, and support network. The Scleroderma Foundation is delighted to announce an increase of its peer-reviewed scientific research funding to $2.7 million for the current fiscal year. This represents a 159% increase over our commitment last year. The Scleroderma Foundation is the leading nonprofit funding scleroderma in the United States. Through this program, the foundation is committed to discovering the cause of this disease, understanding the mechanisms behind it, and overcoming scleroderma forever. Since its inception, the foundation has committed $30 million to this mission priority.
Hello, I'm Dr. Carol Figali Bostwick. I am Vice Chair of the National Board of Directors of the Scleroderma Foundation, and I'm a researcher. My research for my entire career has focused on scleroderma, and today I'm here to talk to you about research. Why is research important? Research is important because it is the research conducted in laboratories, such as this one, that ultimately leads to the cure. The discoveries done at the bench are the ones we ultimately translate into therapies for scleroderma. There is exciting new research going on all over the world, research about new therapies that are in the pipeline, new techniques and tools that greatly accelerate the pace of research. There's great momentum and we really want to maintain it. Please join us in supporting research and supporting the Scleroderma Foundation's peer-reviewed research grant program. Together, we can maintain the pace of research and get us closer to a cure. Scleroderma Foundation really launched my career. It was my very first grant as an independent investigator. And we hear that a lot from our new investigators, that the grant that they get from the Scleroderma Foundation at the beginning of their career is what ends up launching their career. Often it's what keeps them in research because the pressure is on that if you cannot get grants, you are not allowed to do research. And so getting these grants allows them to start their research, generate data that then they can use to apply for larger grants from the National Institutes of Health.
Hi, everyone. My name's Libby Pollock. I am your partner in philanthropy tonight. I'm honored to be here. If everyone kind of raises their hands and go back and forth, we have a lot of people at home watching. And they wanted to congratulate all of our winners tonight and all of our acknowledgments. Cindy, you had at least 45 different chats right there, just saying hello. And together tonight, we're going to try to get to that $100,000 that has been going all year round. And why wouldn't we just get to the finish line a little bit early? I'm always grateful to be here. My father-in-law fought hard with scleroderma for over 16 years. And I've learned so much about how important nights like this are, because it's just so many people are fighting at this moment. My brother-in-law, Andrew Parr, also volunteered and helped this foundation and the Rocky Mountain chapter. So I'm so honored to be here and to start the giving again. Those beautiful yellow bid cards come in a variety of numbers and styles. And we're just going to work together tonight. If you're at home, thank you for watching. There's a link in the chat. And if you click on that for Give Smart, it will take you directly to the giving page. We already had a plethora of giving already, and I would just want to read out those thank yous. So Teresa Rice, thank you for giving. Kathleen Schell, I hope I said that last name correctly. Thank you for giving. Go ahead and clap, everyone. This is good. This will go for a while. Judy, thank you so much for giving. Connie Osborne, thank you for giving. Weston and Rebecca Petty, thank you for giving tonight. Nicholas Meneses, thank you for giving. Howard Littler, thank you for giving. Sue Johnson, thank you for giving. And Deanna Ragsdale, thank you so much for giving tonight. And as we keep moving forward, I want to start this evening off to let you know that there is a $5,000 match in the room tonight. So every dollar that we raise, it will be matched up to $5,000. So every bit helps. So let's start this off. How about a bid of $5,000 give? It's not about one of us tonight. It's about all of us together. Is there anyone in the room tonight who would like to start us off at the $5,000 level? Of course, 108, round of applause. Now we're at 10. Thank you so much. Let's start it off strong. Thank you so much for giving as usual. Cindy, thank you so much for giving. I also wanted to give a shout out to First Western. They donated $1,500 tonight, so thank you so much. And also another $1,000 give from Every Life Foundation. Thanks, Judy. All of this is coming together quickly. How about a $2,500 donation this evening? Hello, 106. Thank you so much for giving tonight. Thank you, $2,500 getting matched tonight. Thank you for giving. Thank you so much, Carol. $2,500 level. Thank you for, this is perfect. We'll just keep going. Online, they're giving through the chat, and so I could kind of see a little ding back there. So people are giving from home, and I don't necessarily know those numbers at the moment, but know that they are also giving too as we talk. How about a $1,000 donation this evening? Hello, bidder number 118. Thank you for giving tonight. Bidder number 114. Thank you for giving. I usually shake hands and hug, but I'm going to do the bidder number 109. Thank you for giving tonight. 103, all for $1,000 tonight. Thank you so much for giving. And we did have a virtual give for $1,000 from Mindy and Sandy. So then another $5,000 just came in. So this is total. This is fantastic. Let's drop it down. How about a $500 donation this evening? Hello, Thank you. Bidder number 119. Thank you so much. Bidder number 200. Thank you so much for giving. That means the world. And thank you so much for speaking this evening. Every dollar counts. How about a $250 give this evening? One for me, Marissa, in name of Shep Parr. Bidder number 105 for $250. Thank you. Bidder number 115 for $250. Thank you so much for giving, everybody. Lovely, lovely that we're all here tonight to keep moving forward, to move to that $100,000 goal. How about a $100 give this evening? Hello, bidder number 100 for $100. I love how it all comes together. 120, thank you so much. Everyone, we're all here together tonight. $50 this evening, $50 give. Bidder number 117, thank you so much for giving tonight. And Marissa, thank you. Bidder number 113 for $50, thank you so much. 113 for $50. Twice. Dos. Got it. We got it. Thank you for giving. I'm honored to stand here tonight. I will be with you at Food Fight as I was last year, but I'm always here I'm very grateful for what everyone does for the Scleroderma Foundation right here at the Rocky Mountain chapter. Enjoy the rest of your evening. There's still desserts. But again, my name's Libby Pollock, and everyone at home, thank you for giving. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.